Hello my dears, and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all doing well, and I am happy and grateful that you have chose to spend your time with me. But before we meet our deck, I wanted to let you know the many ways that you can support my channel. Like the channel if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe so I can appease the mighty algorithm and be seen by more people. Hit the bell if you want to be notified when a new video comes out, or buy me coffee. And any proceeds I get will go right back into buying decks to review on here. And with that being said, let's meet our deck. So, I picked up the Golden Age of Horror Tarot, and this is a first edition. There's also a second edition, which I also got, and I will be doing a future video on it. And it was created by Bobby Alexander. It is self-published, and it retails for $50 in his Etsy shop. And I will link all of the socials and where you can buy it. And I received it with this box, and it's pretty minimalistic. There's no title stackability on any sides, and there is a plastic thingy that shows you a little bit of the cards. There's no guidebook, so you can pretty much use any kind of tarot guidebook for this deck. And the cards are the same dimensions as your regular tarot. Same size there, and reversals will not be revealed. And in my tarot videos, I do a side-by-side comparison with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because it is usually the foundational beginner deck that mostly everybody uses. So I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison instead of just telling you what the cards originally look like or what the Rider-Waite-Smith looks like. So I just figured if you're a visually based person like I am, you like to see the visual as well as hear about the differences. So let's go ahead and check this out. So we will start off with the Major Arcana, and he does follow insofar as he has the Major and Minor Arcana. There are 78 cards in the deck. And these cards are basically taken from actual comic book covers. And it has been changed up a little bit to, you have the title of the card and the number, but it does have the comic book cover. So that was really interesting when I found that out. And I am a fan of horror, so that also hooked me on the deck. And there is one difference that I'm going to address. So the Rider-Waite-Smith basically has switched justice and strength. So in a Rider-Waite-Smith, you would have strength as the 8 card and justice as the 11 card. And for some reason, the people who produced the Rider-Waite-Smith deck decided to change it. Now, there's nothing wrong with either deck. They're not broken, it's not misprinted, but if you go online and do a little bit of background checking, basically, from what I understand, it was changed for numerology and astrology reasons. And I don't want to go into it too deeply on here because it could possibly be a whole video by itself, and I really don't want to do that to you guys. So if you're really interested in it, just go ahead and do some Google investigation, and you can find out the background about it. There's some varying explanations, but just go ahead and look to see if you're curious about it. But I just wanted to point that out, and I wanted to do the side-by-side comparison. So since we are showing this is the highlighted one, I just went ahead and switched the Justice and the Strength card, so you can still see the side-by-side comparison. So I hope that made sense, the little explanation I gave you. And some of these cards you can see some comparison. You got the Hangnoose, the Hangman. But I think until you are familiar with this deck, you will struggle. But there is a lot to take in. There's a lot to look at on these cards. There's Godzilla attacking the tower. So you'll just have to spend some time with the deck and kind of get a feel for it. But that's like with any deck that you really come across. You have to spend time with it. You have to get to know it. Okay, so that is the Major Arcana. Alright, so next we have the Cups. And I did a little bit of research because I was curious about when I do get a deck, I like to find out if there's a background, any kind of background on it, or history of what the creator was going for. And so I looked up what the actual golden age of horror was about. Oh, look at the couple. Isn't that sweet? And it was a period where it reached a peak in the late 40s and the mid 50s. And it all started with a comic book from Gilberton Publications Classic Comics number 13, and they had put out a full-length adaptation of Robert Louis Stevenson's Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in August of 1943. And then the actual first horror comic with original content was put out by Avon Publications and it was Erie #1 in January 1947. And I did look to see, like, if you wanted to buy it, if you could, and kind of like a ballpark figure. And yeah, I would rather pay my mortgage payment. I mean, it was amazing that it was up for auction or for purchase for over $1,000. But it is a collector's item. It is the very first horror comic, and if you are into that and collect comic books and are into horror, I have no judgment here. Alright, so now we have the Ace of Pentacles. The Pentacles, not the Ace. The suit of the Pentacles. And finish this one up with the King of Pentacles. Alright. So if you decide to peruse Bobby's Etsy shop, we'll go on to the swords. He also has on his Etsy shop, he has the Golden Age of Horror, 1st and 2nd edition, pocket size. So if you have little hands and would like something a little bit smaller, he does have those on his site. He also has a tarot deck with vintage animal art. Tarot deck based on Pulp Fiction magazines of the 1940s and 50s. And he also has a pocket-sized version of that deck. And then he has the science fiction pulp magazine from the 1940s tarot deck. Also, he has a tarot cards based on vintage color book illustrations. He also has a fine art tarot deck that was created from direct scans of paintings that are over 400 years old. And also, he has a Japanese tarot deck created from prints and drawings that are 300 years old. And he has a regular and pocket-sized edition of those too. And he has the Golden Age of Romance tarot, which is pocket-sized, doesn't have an irregular. And then he has a vintage book illustration tarot deck created from book illustrations that are from the 1800s. So he's got quite the variety. And end with the King of Swords. Right. So, last but not least, we have our wands. Okay. Okay. And I did pick up the science fiction one, so I will be doing a video on that one as well. Alright, and finish this up with the King of Wands. Okay. So, cardstock is bendy, but I do think it will last. I wish it was a little thicker, but I do think it's a good cardstock. And it's like, yeah, it's the same quality as the Rider-Waite Tarot deck that I got, like playing card material. So shuffling is good. If you're okay with regular size tarot deck, shuffling should be relatively not a problem. And let's see who wants to pop out. Ten of Pentacles. Alright, so Pentacles, Pentacles. So, Ten of Pentacles. Looks like this. Oh, got the glare. Alright. So that is pretty much all I have for this deck. So let me know what you thought of the deck. Did you like it? Love it? Hate it? Meh? If you bought the deck after seeing my video, please let me know. And if you'd like to see a future deck, let me know and I will see what I can do. And once again, thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I hope you will join me with a future video. But until then, take care and goodbye, my dears.